Do you have any stories about dragons, Mr. Crald? Fixza asked, snuggling down into her blanket. The winds off the bay were cooling down as fall progressed into winter, and the nights were just cold enough to call for blankets. He paused, as though thinking about it while banking the fire in their small, pot-belly stove. After a moment, he spoke. As a matter of fact, I do. Can that be our story? Tonight? Crald asked. Even he wanted to hear about dragons. Of course, Crald said with a smile, taking a seat on his sleeping mat, which lay between the children's and the door. Once, there was a clan chieftain who had 13 children. One day, the farseer of the clan came to the chieftain and spoke of a dream they had. In their dream, there was a wolf with 13 pups, and the mother wolf drove one of them away. Then he said this to the chieftain, "When your children come home tonight, bar the entrance for whoever comes home last. They must be sent out into the world to let the winds of fate guide their steps." The chieftain agreed. That night, after 12 of his children returned, he barred the way for his 13th child. It was his eldest son, Trask. The chieftain gave him the best axe their clan ever forged and their swiftest wolf, then sent him into the world as the farseer instructed. After many days and nights of travel, Trask happened upon another clan. The chieftain of this clan spoke of 3 huge Graan who would show up and feast on his herd of boars. No one had defeated even one of the Graan, though many had tried. Trask agreed to mind the herd and kill any Graan that tried to eat the boars. The chieftain did not believe he could do this but agreed to let him try, and commanded him to bring the Graan's heads as proof. The chieftain's daughter, Dagka, heard the agreement between her father and the newcomer. She stepped forward, then said to him the same words she'd said to every orc who promised her father they'd defeat the Graan. "If you are strong enough to defeat all 3 Graan, I would ask to be your life mate," Trask agreed. Unknown to anyone there, a black dragon, a Darien, had taken on the disguise of an orc. Every year, he sought out the strongest child of an orc chieftain to eat them and make the orcs suffer, just as he'd suffered when orcs killed his mate. He'd planned on taking Dagka, but she'd been too shrewd so far against his attempts to lure her away from the others. If this orc, Trask, could do what he promised, it was his chance to finally get her. The first day Trask was tending to the boar herd, the first of the 3 Graan appeared. He defeated it quickly, and when he decapitated it, one of the Graan's teeth broke from its mouth. Dagka, who had followed Trask that morning, was well hidden and watched him defeat the Graan. However, they were both surprised when a black dragon swooped in, stealing both the head and body of the Graan, leaving Trask with no proof of his kill except the tooth and the blood on his axe. When Trask went back that night, another orc had already presented the chieftain with the head of the Graan, claiming to have killed it. "What do you have to say to this, Trask?" the chieftain asked. Trask showed him the tooth and the blood on his axe, then explained that a black dragon had taken the body and head. The chieftain looked over to a Darien. "I am no black dragon. Clearly, I am an orc. I killed the Graan. This orc is lying." Many whispered about this. Dagka knew the truth, but like Trask had no explanation for how this orc got a hold of the head. Since she was not sure what was going on, and their clan still needed Trask to kill the other Graan, she stepped forward to speak. "Let us give them another day, then we will see who the true Graan Slayer is." Trusting his daughter, the chieftain agreed. Very late on the second day, Trask was again tending the boar herd when the second of the 3 Graan attacked. He defeated this one quickly, too, and this time when he decapitated the Graan, it also cut off one of its fingers. Trask, and Dagka in hiding, watched as the black dragon flew in even faster than before and stole the head and body of the Graan. Trask had no time to worry about the dragon, as it was time to bring the herd back in, so he picked up the finger and headed back to the clan. The same scene played out that night, except this time a Darien brought the head mere seconds before Trask came back with the boar herd. Still, Trosk had nothing to show but the finger and the blood on his axe. However, unlike the others, Dagka noticed the orc was out of breath as though he'd rushed to get here. Her suspicions grew, but there was still one more Grond to kill, so she stepped forward once more and spoke. "Let us give them one more day, then we will see who the true Grond Slayer is." Once again, the chieftain agreed. The next day, the third and final Grond charged at Trosk. After killing it quickly, it was one of the neck plates this time that chipped away when he cut off its head. Then the black dragon appeared again. Trosk was expecting it this time, and swung down with his axe as it snatched the body and head. He managed only a shallow wound on the dragon's shoulder before it took off again with an angry roar. Dagka watched as Trosk scooped up the Grond's neck plate, expecting him to leave since he did not have the proof her father sought. However, he didn't. He faithfully remained with the herd. Knowing who her clan truly owed a debt to, she slipped away to prepare her own task to confirm her suspicions and to restore his honor in the eyes of her clan. When Trosk brought the herd back that evening, everyone was there: the chieftain, Dagka, the whole clan, and Adarian in his orc disguise. Trosk once more showed the blood on his axe, as well as the scale. "It doesn't matter," Adarian said. "I am the one who presented the heads, so I am the one who will marry Dagka." At this, Dagka herself stepped forward. "I have one final task for the both of you. Only the strongest of orcs can withstand the spices of our clan's secret recipe. Both of you will eat a bowl of it, and not stop until finished. Agreed?" Adarian, knowing dragons could withstand any spice these puny orcs could concoct, readily agreed. Trosk did too. Dagka sat them both down across from each other, with a large bowl of heavily spiced boar meat in front of each. Taking her place on one side, with her father on the other, she put a hand on each of their shoulders. "Begin," she said, lifting her hands. The two began to eat, but soon Adarian wavered. Nausea swept over him like a wave, and the tips of his fingers grew numb, causing the meat he was holding to slip from them. Poison. But how? He glanced up at Trosk, but nothing was amiss with him as he continued to eat, so it couldn't be in the food. The cut on his arm, he thought with a curse. When Dagka touched him, she must have rubbed something into his wound, and he couldn't smell it because the food's scent was so strong. Panic set in for the dragon. He tried to get up but couldn't. There was only one thing left to do. With a roar of fear, he transformed, taking on his black dragon form. Dagka was ready for this. With a cry of "Trosk!" she threw his axe to him. In one swift motion, he finished his bowl of boar meat, grabbed his axe, then cut straight through the dragon's neck, taking off its head. Everyone except Trosk and Dagka was stunned by this, but soon they cheered for the two orcs who took down the dragon. They were soon married, and they ruled their clan for many years with his strength, her quick wits, and all the honor an orc could ever hope to have. The end. "That was amazing," Fixza said, throwing her arms into the air. "Yeah, it was pretty good," Crald agreed, trying not to sound too terribly impressed. Crald recognized his son was simply at that age. "Thank you, both. Now, it's time for bed." "Okay. Good night, Crald." "Good night, Mr. Crald," she said, then flopped over and quickly fell asleep. It never ceased to amaze Crald how she could be awake one second, then out the next, like someone blowing out a candle. However, he wasn't far behind her. His dreams that night were full of Fixza coming up with clever plans to take down evil dragons, while he battled them. This story was inspired by The 13th Son of the King of Erin, which is an Irish fairy tale collected by Jeremiah Curtin in Myths and Folklore of Ireland. I'll have the link to the story's wiki below. As for Crald, he changed the original story on the fly to have a dragon for Fixza. The black dragons didn't show up in Dra Nor until the Second War, and shortly thereafter Dra Nor was shattered into Outland. The original Orcish tale features a hydra. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to bring your axe when confronting the subscribe button while you heard the notification bell back to the On clan. Until next time, I hope you all have a great rest of your day or night. See you later.